Hey everybody, this is Walking Gratitude, and this is my story. My name is Stefan Lathrop. I was born in Amsterdam, New York, January 23rd, 1992, in St. Mary's. I grew my first 3 years in Binghamton, where my mom and my father were living at the time. Then, when after I was 3, my father and my mother broke up, and we ended up moving back to Fonda because that's where my grandparents, my mom's side, she got adopted to, which I think is why there's a little bit of mental health on that side of the family. My dad's side of the family, on the other hand, he was an alcoholic for uh, 30 years and then got clean for 3 years before he ended up having his heart fail on him. We'll get more into that as we get into this. Um, my grandfather on my dad's side was an alcoholic, but he also was in 3 different branches of the military. I was told he was sober when he ended up passing away. My uncle was an alcoholic. My Aunt Juanita on my dad's side is the only one that's not an alcoholic, but she's married to an alcoholic, so it's kind of not really good either. The toll it takes on other people. Um, my mom's side of the family that she got adopted into uh, were pretty well off. I would say middle class for where we grew up. And they were really family oriented. I had 8 uncles. My mom was the only girl, and uh, every Sunday I go to church at a different school, at a different church every Sunday with my grandmother because that's how it was. And I, I really didn't fight about it. I mean, I kind of embraced it growing up, and now in sobriety, I embrace God even more. Um, and I also say that Jesus Christ is my Savior. Well, we'll get later on into uh, other situations like that when it comes to religions, because I do believe in multicultural stuff. Like, I follow practices from Buddhism. Uh, my father was more like a pagan type religion, and my mom is Wicca, so I have a pretty broad spectrum. And my grandmother on my mom's side is actually Roman Catholic, just so everyone knows. Uh, So I know of very streams of religions, but anyways, when I was 3 years old, my mom and my dad split up. We ended up moving back to Fonda. My father was very abusive towards my mother. That's the reason why I believe that chaos was kind of like set in stone in my head as being normal, because I can remember being little in between my mom and my father and screaming for him to stop as he's choking my mom against the wall, and I acted out a lot as a kid because of it. And growing up, I was looked at as a runt in Fonda. Not to mention, like, I'd go up and hang out with people on the farms and stuff, where I'd actually end up working when I was a little older for a couple years. But anyways, uh, hold on a second. I get ADHD, so sometimes I get stagnant. But uh, but I was looked at as the runt, and I always had like hand-me-down clothes and shoes that didn't really fit, but I kind of chose to live like that most of the time because I was dirty all the time, because I just would constantly go around town and not really stay home. Mom didn't really like that a lot, uh, which is why I probably rebelled even more, because like I don't know, I felt like I needed to be like that really badass type of person because I didn't have a father figure. When I was after my father and my mother split up. He literally wasn't there on and off until I was like 10, 11 years old, and that's because he would get drunk and break the law and end up going to jail, and I'd always have to end up freaking hearing about it from my mom when I'd ask why I couldn't go to see my father on the weekends that he was supposed to be able to see us. So I got a bad impression of my father right off the bat with that, and in school I got picked on a lot, so my self-esteem was really low. Uh, I actually ended up smoking cigarettes and smoking weed at 9 years old because I had just tried to fit in. Because the people that picked on me, I really tried to fit in with. I don't know why, but I felt like if I could prove myself to them, it was worthy. Which is really horrible for me to feel like I have to do that just to fit into a place. Now that I am clean, I can understand that a little better. But So yeah, I had a lot of issues growing up, and when I was 13 years old, my two best friends, well, one of my many best friends, two of them, Richard Carpenter and Ryan Hart, got hit by a drunk driver on Albany Bush Road in Fonda when I was 13 years old, and I got picked up on a school bus the next day after it had happened, and I didn't know it yet. And my friend Dominique, which actually was the dead end road that they were killed on, she actually lived on that road. She watched it happen, and she told me about it on that bus, and it is one of the most traumatizing things in my life. Excuse me if I get a little emotional. It's kind of a hard thing for me to deal with, but anyways, she told me that they had passed away, and I lost it. And it got even worse. We went to go to the wake, and I didn't know the caskets were going to be open, and I saw them both laying in their caskets, and I literally just died. I was crying my eyes out. And I remember my friend Johnny Gonzalez's sister grabbed me and hugged me, and I just, she held me, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And then for the whole year after that, I wouldn't talk to people. I stayed to myself. I literally flunked out of school because I slept the whole year. I went mute. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I just didn't want to be around because my life came to a screeching halt at that point in my life. And because I failed out of school and everything, my mom thought it was the best thing was to send me over to my father's house to live. So she sent me to go live with my father. Well, she didn't send me to go live with my father. Actually, I decided to go live with my father because my mom was moving to Amsterdam, and I didn't want to go to Amsterdam school, and I thought the best thing to do was go with my dad because at that point he was being all nicey nice with us because he was actually in a stable place in Gloversville, actually right on the border of going up Bleecker Mountain on West Bush Road in Gloversville. And I ended up moving there. It actually kills me because my mom actually was crying and begging and pleading for me not to go to my dad's, but I felt like I just had to get away, and I went and moved with my father, and he introduced alcohol and cocaine into my life, and it sent me on a warpath that I would literally end up going through hell and back a million times over in addiction, because I was able to smoke cigarettes and weed and, drink, and my stepmother didn't know, but we were doing cocaine on and off, while I was there. But anyways, and then a couple of years went by. I was going to school. I was doing pretty well there, but I was starting to check out. I wanted to smoke weed. I wanted to drink. I wanted to go do hard drugs, but school was getting in the way. So when I was 16 years old, my father and my stepmother had my dad break down the rules, or crack down on the rules. So I decided that I was going to run away because my dad was going to tell me I couldn't drink, I couldn't smoke weed, and I couldn't do cocaine with him anymore because my stepmother wanted him to crack down. So I decided I was going to run away, and I ran away, and I ended up couch surfing in Gloversville for quite a long time. Actually, from 17 all the way till I was 20, I couch surfed until I met my oldest son, Prince's mother, through what was my really close friend, Guy West, at the time. He's still like family to me to this day. He's actually doing really good for himself. But when I met my oldest son's mother, I was 17 I was 17 or 18 at the time. And, or no, not 18. I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 when I would go there, and no, the first time was 18. Sorry. My ADHD jumps me sometimes, so I gotta kind of catch myself sometimes. But I was 18. I lost my virginity at 18 to her, and I ended up having my first kid with her at 20. I was raising her youngest son, Cassius, at the time. For the first like 4 or 5 years of Cassius's life, I was basically there, and uh, my oldest son was there when I was 20. Prince Vincent Anthony Lathrop West. He is in Schenectady. He's 13 years old at this point in time. He's going on 14. He's killing it. So I can't really complain that much, but I need to get in his life. But anyways, I ended up starting to smoke crack at that point with uh, my oldest son's mother's like stepfather at the time, and we'd go and smoke crack and at one of our friends' house in Gloversville, and that started a roll for me to where I actually ended up smoking crack for 20 years. It started way before that, but it got heavy after I turned 20, and at uh, 21, I got hit by a truck, and I was crossing the street at my step brother's house, and I got hit by a truck. I went in the front bumper, out the back bumper, slid down the road a little ways, across the street, right down next door to my father's house, and ended up getting my back ended up fused together. I'm like 90% scar tissue. I got my knee reconstructed because I tore my PCL completely, my MCL 3/4 of the way. So it's completely reconstructed. And shortly after, I spent the time that after I got hit by the truck, I actually went back to live with my dad, and I started volunteering. When I got my knee reconstructed, I started volunteering at a First Free Methodist church up there, giving away mass food distribution and helping the poor and people that needed, like low poverty people that needed food and everything. We did the mass food distribution. We did an actual food pantry. They still do it to this day in Gloversville. Um, Pantry days, I think, are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or something like that. And mass food now is like in Fonda. It's like the second Thursday of the month or the third Thursday of the month. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, I was volunteering there. I became a member there with me and my dad and my stepmother. And it's one of the greatest experiences that I kind of had. I really didn't think that I was going to end up having that part in my life at that point because I was doing drugs at that time. They gave me Percocets, so it kind of put me on a string to where I started doing that too. To where I started abusing pills, and then I started abusing Suboxone, and then I started abusing everything around it, smoking black tar heroin. You name it, you buy it, I got it, and I did it. And, but anyways, shortly after, I ended up moving out of my father's and into one of my friend's houses, which was like right next door. His name's Jack Padilla. Awesome people, by the way. And I could say right now that that was one of the places that like it calmed me down. I didn't go so wild at that point. I was just smoking weed, popping pills, you know. I was just dabbling with stuff, but I also would go down to the city and smoke crack because that's just what I wanted all the time. I wanted crack. So I ended up choosing the drugs over my uh, oldest son and the family that I had. I decided my drugs and alcohol was worth more than my family at that time, so I basically gave that up. I gave it away. And it's the first time I made a huge mistake that I ended up feeling like I was my biggest regret. But anyways, after I ended up choosing the drugs and alcohol over my first kid and his mother, I went on a run from 21 all the way to shit, 33 before I finally stopped smoking crack. But anyways, when I was 24 years old, I got told my father was. I was working at Century Linen in Gloversville, and I got a call from my stepmother. She said that my dad had collapsed when he woke up in the morning one day. He was 3 years clean, and his heart had failed on him, and he was in the hospital, and he was getting transferred to another hospital, and that he was in a coma, and he ended up in a coma for 2 weeks before I was told that they pulled the plug on him. I personally I couldn't see my father like that, so it's something I kind of regret, kind of, sort of, but not really. I mean, I gotta take it as it is, but it's like I was afraid of death after that, just because of my two best friends. Um, that really messed with me for the rest of the time when it came to funerals, but when I was actually 22, my grandfather had passed away, and I couldn't even go to that. I ended up just going out and getting fucked up. Excuse my language. But, yeah, 24, my dad passed away. 3 years clean. He died sober. I could say my dad got it. And he didn't do AA. He did it himself. But, I mean, he was still happy. I was surprised. He didn't have, like, the dry drunk personality. He was a fucking awesome person. Actually, the last time I got to see my dad was, like, a year before his heart failed. And it was a Father's Day. He hadn't seen me in, like, 2 years. It's my last memory of my father. And that's why I didn't want to see him when he was in a coma, because of it. So, it was Father's Day, and I went there, and I had a present for him. It was this little metal cigarette case with a car on it. The funniest shit is, he didn't even know I was going to show up, and he had the same tin cigarette container with just a different car on it for me. He was so fucking happy for me. Just to see me. I was a wreck. I was a full-blown crackhead. I was an alcoholic. I was snorting tabs, playing fucking horseshoes all the time, and drinking with what I thought were like the best people to hang around at the time. But little to be told, when my father the plug got pulled on my father, I was sitting at their front porch steps at the end of the night, drunk, all fucked up off of everything, and crying, "I want my daddy, I want my daddy." And they kicked me off the property because I was an embarrassment. So, yeah, after my dad passed away, I actually, before my dad passed away, actually, when I had left my father's after I had joined the church, I did go back into drugs, but I also met my youngest son's mother, and when I was 24 as well, or no, when I was 23, we had my youngest son. We actually met at Salvation Army in Gloversville, where we both worked at the time, and I thought I had a family again, all over again. I thought, I got this. I can finally make a family. And I was still drinking and everything, but when I got with her, and we had my youngest son, Nico, this fucking cutie. He's a lady killer, I could tell. Just from what I can see. I haven't been able to see either of my kids in 7 years. Luckily, my oldest is finally able to talk to me, and when I get back on my feet, which is going to be soon, you'll hear about that later, but where was I? Oh, Nico. I ended up dabbling into cocaine. I got really hard into vodka at that time and became a raging alcoholic. I was drinking like a handle a night of vodka. Sometimes you see, literally at the end of it, for 5 years, I was just a raging alcoholic, and it just got worse and worse and worse to the point to where I ended up with a vodka bottle in my hand 24/7. I'd sleep with it, wake up with it, and it didn't matter if it was piss warm or whatever. I was drinking it. It was like water to me at that time. It was so bad. But anyways, uh, I ended up breaking into two garages and getting a burglar in the third, and ended up giving up on another family because I decided to be a raging alcoholic and I put my hands on her. And that's the dumbest shit you can do. And I felt like I was my father, and a whole bunch of guilt and shame came out of it. And it was horrible. But at the same time, like, I did it to myself. I chose to do that stuff, and at the end of the day, I ended up going and living with a buddy of mine. I ended up turning him into a crackhead, which was the worst thing ever. I feel like I ended up like fucking his life up. But anyways, it came to a point to where I was living with them, and I was on the run for like 7 or 8 months on the burglary and a third because I was on. Pre-trial release, and I decided to go on the run after I left state, foolishly not knowing that I couldn't leave state, and got put in jail for 8 months after he called the cops on me because I had eaten a half a ball of methamphetamine, and $100 of cocaine, and tripped or whatever you want to call it, geeked out in the back of in his backyard for 3 days before he called the cops on me. They picked me up. I ended up doing 8 months in county. While I was in there, I was abusing Suboxone and doing deuce and trying to make hooch. When I ended up getting caught, and it didn't really go against me. That's when I finally got my GED, which, like, when I actually dropped out of school, I went to a GED class for like a little while, and then I ended up getting hired onto them because I had to wait so long to take the test, so they hired me on, and I became an assistant math teacher for a while there before I ended up just giving up on that because I wanted to do drugs and drink and stuff, and I started drinking at what at the time was my stepfather, George. I was drinking his whiskey, Canadian whiskey he had all the time. So, and he had like a collection of stuff that was aged that shouldn't have been opened that I opened, which was crazy. And anyways, got my GED when I was in jail. I got out in 2020. I got a job at Kmart in an aluminum factory. I started at the bottom and I ended up at the top in about 6 months there. I was one of the head press runners. Actually, the first 11 floors of the Freedom Towers came straight out of Kmart. A press that I was operating, the aluminum beams that built those floors, came out of my press, which is amazing because at that time I was a functioning alcoholic and a closet crackhead. Just because I wanted to get away with it when I was living at my mom's house after I just got out of jail. And, yeah, I worked there for 3 years. I ended up meeting a girl in Gloversville after hanging out with her ex-husband for a while that I actually ended up meeting in jail. She was toxic as hell for me. She was a crackhead. I was a crackhead. I was still drinking. Honestly, alcohol for me was the door that opened everything. You put a drop of alcohol in my mouth, I want everything you could possibly give me. It's the gates of hell open when alcohol is consumed in my system. So that's something I keep far, far away from me. But anyways, got out of jail in 2020. Ended up getting with her. Was with her for 5 years. just smoking copious amounts of crack and drinking and doing everything possible. And then right at the very end, um, now at this point, I am in my, I'm just turning 30 at this point. It's like the third year into it, and we end up living with her ex-husband. Man, that becomes crazy as hell. I end up fucking leaving there. Uh, End up moving out to Fort Plain, split up with her, got with her ex-husband. Then from March, when I was March of 2024, I was taken against my will for 8 months, being forced to do an 8 ball of meth, being beaten and molested, and I didn't get out of that until November 11th of last year, or 2024, and Veterans Day, which is why I think my grandfather had something to do with pushing me to get there. Not to mention my father dying clean. That was a kicker for me. Like 7 years it took before it finally kicked in gear that, hello, he did it, I can do it. And I went in for the first time to get help at Veterans Day 2024. I was in mental health for 3 days. Then in St. Mary's in Amsterdam. Then they sent me up to the St. Mary's Memorial Hospital up on Route 30. That's got the CDU, Chemical Dependency Unit, or detox. It's a 30-day program, or a 28-day program. I spent 20 days there. Then I left, relapsed for a week, got back with the same toxic girlfriend, and it just got worse and worse. That week, in that week, it didn't get worse with her. I just was there, trying to basically, empty promises about me gonna do this and gonna do that, when in reality, I'm sleeping with her, and I'm sleeping with, one of our other friends that, now is doing really great for himself. I'm very, very happy for that. Not to mention, you'll notice that I don't say many names in this. I'm very good at keeping people anonymous. Unless you want to, you're gonna leave it in the comments or something to reveal who you are in a part of a story. That's more okay with you if you want to. I'm not really gonna throw many names out there. But anyways, I left after 20 days, relapsed for a week, went back for 8 days. Because they let me come back, because I instantly knew that I was wrong when I left there, and I knew my meds weren't going to last, and I finally was on the right set of meds, and I went back. I was there for 8 days, and I figured, 20 days, 8 days, I got this. I got 28 days under my skin. I signed myself out. I went across the street, messaged my mom, lied to her and told her that I was waiting on a bed, and they released me for my 28-day program, and that I was waiting on a bed and that I needed money to get to Gloversville. So she sends me the money, and I ended up calling that same toxic ex, and she sends out one of our old crack dealers, and he brings me back to Gloversville. But he is a good man. I can't say that because he wouldn't give me what I wanted when he picked me up, because he said that he wasn't going to be that kind of man that picks somebody up from something like that and gives them shit to relapse right off the bat. He said he dropped me off at the ex-girlfriend, and that I would, if I wanted it that bad, that I'd walk across town to get it. And if I did that, then I've had enough time to think about it, and it's not on him at that point. So I ended up getting dropped off, and me and that ex walked over, and we copped, and then we went back to the house, and I relapsed 4 hours out of being there, saying I got this when I signed myself out. I went on a run for 3 months after that. With that ex-girlfriend, I was shooting up methamphetamine and smoking crack and on top of taking my meds, which is not good at all. And after about after 2 months, she ended up kicking me out because I wanted to freak out and go crazy as usual, because meth will do that to you. And she kicked me out, which is one of the best things that she could have ever done for me, because when she did that, I went to Nathan Latour in Gloversville, told them that I needed help, mental health help. They told me they didn't have a mental health floor, but they'll do their tests that they can do, and then they'd have somebody bring me to St. Mary's in Amsterdam so I could go to the mental health and get that evaluated for that. So, uh, wait a minute. 3 months. She kicked me out. I went to Nathan Latour. Yep. Nathan Latour sent me to St. Mary's. St. Mary's well, I actually got brought there by a sheriff. Sheriff dropped me off there. They evaluated me in the emergency room. They told me that they couldn't accept me because I didn't have a plan on how I wanted to kill myself. So they ended up releasing me. They had me sleep in the waiting room all night until the next morning. They gave me a little fucking tiny thing for breakfast and sent me in a van to the Rob Constantine Center in Gloversville. Amazing people. I recommend it to anybody that needs to get clean in Gloversville. Rob Constantine will help you no matter what. Go there. They can give you help. It may not be direct help, but they can get you the help you need. Anyways, they sent me there. I told them how I was homeless and that I needed help, and they said that they couldn't help me with the homeless part, but they gave me a ride to DSS. DSS gave me emergency food stamps, put me up in the Knights Inn in Amsterdam in Montgomery County, which is full of crackheads, drug addicts, alcoholics, homeless, all that stuff. And I spent a month there shooting up meth, smoking crack, popping pills, drinking, all at the same time. All the time. The whole month. And then, towards the end of that month, I was on a 9-day bender of shooting up meth, and I was coming down, and I had no money. I had nothing. I had sold everything I had. I had no food. I had no nothing. My mom finally cut me off, which was the best thing she could have ever done for me at that time. And it put me at my very bottom, and I hung myself, and I ended up getting found by the hotel owners, and they cut me down, and I told my mom about it on the phone, and she told me to go to the hospital or she was going to have the cops bring me. And for the first time in my 33 years of my life, I listened to my mother, and I walked to the hospital because I was afraid of the cops. I mean, I spent 8 months in jail. Who wouldn't be afraid of them at that point? And, I went to the hospital, and I told them how I tried to hang myself, and they told me that they were going to put me in the mental health floor. I sat in the mental health floor for 14 long days, waiting on somebody to let me be at a treatment center, like a 28-day program or something. After like 3 times of trying, the CDU up at the Memorial Hospital gave me my 3rd and final shot that I needed to get clean. It was the best thing that could have happened to me, honestly. So after 14 days, I went there, and I spent 30 days in that CDU. And when I first got into the mental health unit, I tried to get to Twin Oaks. Let's just put that in there. But, I mean, it's not easy sometimes to just go instantly into something. You need to have follow-ups, evaluations, all that stuff that comes with it, medically and all that. So I sat at CDU for 30 days. I got accepted to Champlain Valley Family Center Recovery Campus out in Schuyler Falls, 90-day program. Awesome people, sweetest people you'll ever meet. They'll help you no matter what situation it may be. They can help. And that 90-day program is what turned my life around. I wasn't talking about my emotions before I went there. And I broke down and actually talked about my emotions and opened up and finally got out my comfort zone for once in my life. And I was happy about it. And, I started to realize if I push myself out of my comfort zone, I grow. So I continue to. And, it paid off at the end. And, I spent 74 days there. I got accepted into Twin Oaks. After being 4 months clean, I went, the day after I got 4 months clean, I got I got to step my feet through the doors of Twin Oaks, which has been a life changer for me. When you talk about reintegration, it's reintegration at its finest. And it helps you be a better version of yourself, and it makes you responsible, and it gives you guidelines and scheduling, and makes you self-advocate for yourself. And I would highly recommend it to anybody in recovery. It's a heart and soul of me right now. It's gonna be a little heartbreaking when I actually have to move out into my own apartment, but it's gonna be a beautiful chapter in my journey. But anyways, I am still at Twin Oaks. I have officially finished my 12 steps. This month will be 10 months for me. My clean date is March 30th, 2024, or 2025, 3/30/25. And, yeah. I'm doing great for myself. I'm actually about to go up to that same campus and talk and tell them my story and experience strength and hope. And yeah, I'm killing it. I'm not really going to get too much into all the treatment and programs and stuff that I run, but I run a strong program for myself. This channel is one of my biggest things because it helps me pay forward. And once I hit my year mark, I'll sponsor and I'll give it to the next person like it was given freely to me. And yeah, I'm 33 years old now. My grandmom came up and saw me in October, and it was the first time I saw my grandmother's in a long time, and it was very, very fulfilling for me. It very warmed my heart. I'm getting back into contact with the family members, which is awesome. I love it. And I'm talking to my oldest son, Prince, which I am excited to actually have him come up here when I get an apartment. It's going to be a really good thing. Doing good things, and I'm very grateful for everything I have around me. I came up here in Plattsburgh knowing nobody. And now I know over hundreds. The recovery community out here is so strong. I love it. These people out here are so nice and so sweet and so welcoming. They make you feel like it's home. They're not just friends to me. They're all family. Like, they got a piece of my soul to them, and I really respect this place for everything it brings me. And it's just continuing to bring me great things. And I'm going to continue to do great things, and I'm going to start doing videos about how to be a better version of you, and I'll try to give you advice and show you a little other experiences in my life that's not so quite, broad spectrum like this is. I'm not getting too much into detail with certain things because it's just something that I don't really have to get too much into detail with because of how everything's been. But, yeah. I feel like I have covered just about everything I could cover from my story. Yeah, I'm doing great. I got a job thanks to some good friends in the recovery community out here. I get to drive and stand up fork truck for MRP Solutions out in Plattsburgh, New York, one of the biggest plastic cap manufacturers in the country, actually one of the top 5. And yeah, I'm doing great things. I'm starting to finally get my life in order and starting to reintegrate into society the right way. I thought getting into recovery was going to be the most humbling thing. I ate a huge humble pie when I had all my teeth getting removed because of all the drugs I was doing. But after I'm a little after a year sober, I should be getting my dentures. I'll get fitted for them sometime after March. So I'm excited for that. My birthday's coming up, which is when I'm going to go speak up at the campus. And yeah, I'm just going to keep doing good things and keep you guys updated on stuff and keep showing you guys good and beautiful things that you can have in your life and experience in life and what can help you make your life better. And with that, outpatient for the CVFC actually out here in Plattsburgh, you gave me the idea of having the name Walking Gratitude. It gave me a ring in my ears, so I decided to make it my YouTube channel. They dubbed me that, so I'm gonna go with it, and I love it. It makes me feel good, and I feel like I can help many people around the world. So, with that, I'm going to say Walking Gratitude is grateful for you to have heard this story, and you will continue to be in my story as I continue in recovery. With that, I'm going to say enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'm going to drop this as soon as I'm done with it. I hope everyone enjoys. Have a good one. Walking Gratitude, out.